Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Judge, case 3147, Sams versus Pickett.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This used to be your boyfriend.
Yes.
Sort of lived there sometimes, where he lived someplace with a child, right?
Yes.
Boy?
2 boys.
2 boys. How old?
3 and 4.
Where's their mother?
She's around. We have like joint custody.
And sort of how many days a week would you say that you spent when you were together at his house?
Almost every day.
No, she didn't.
Don't speak out.
She...
You never know where it's going to go. Just because she says it doesn't mean it's going to hurt you.
Okay.
See, she may say something like almost every day,
Right.
and that's only going to hurt her. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. And when did you start spending almost every day at his house?
Around March in 2021.
Until when?
January of 2023.
Then you broke up and claimed he owes you all kinds of money and things that you weren't able to take out of the house, and you also gave him money for a car that you never got. That's what the case is about, right?
Yes.
Easy. Okay. You bought a whole bunch of electronics at a rent-to-buy. Give me the name of the company that was rent-buy.
Rent-A-Center and American Rental.
So 2 different companies.
Yes.
What did you buy at each of the companies?
With Rent-A-Center, I bought the Xbox One and then the TV. And with American Rental, I bought the PlayStation 5 and the sound speaker set.
In what year did you buy each of these things?
In 2020 is when I bought the Xbox One. 2021.
In just a second, in 2020, so before you met him.
Yeah, that one came before I met him, yes.
That one came before you met him. So in 2020, you bought the Xbox One and the TV?
No, the TV was bought later in 2021.
So that was bought after you met him?
Yes.
Now, you bought the Xbox. Did you
Yes.
finish paying for the Xbox?
Yes.
Prove it. Okay. Now, you're no longer a couple, right?
We never were.
Well, she would come over and visit, whatever it was. Let's say that you're a nasty guy and you just used her for the electronics and for whatever else. Let's just say you never dated, you were never together, you're just a nasty guy. Where is the Xbox?
It's with my son.
Where is your son?
At home.
At your house.
Right. Or at his mom's house currently, but...
Listen, double talker. You live with his mom? Do you live with his mom?
No.
Where is the Xbox?
At her house with my son.
How did it get to his mother's house?
She bought it for him, and he took it where he wants.
Just a second. How old is your son?
5. 5.
5. Okay. I immediately don't like you already. I wasn't sure if I liked her, but I don't like you already. Who is this?
It's my mom.
It's your mom. Should have tried harder. Should have tried harder.
Aw.
5-year-olds don't take Xboxes to their mother. She didn't give him the Xbox to take to his mother's house. She bought it before she knew your kid.
Your Honor.
Don't speak. First of all, with regard to the Xbox, it look like you're losing?
No, sorry.
All right. She bought the Xbox before she knew your kid in 2020. You say no? Prove that she's mistaken. Did you buy the Xbox?
No.
When was it purchased?
I don't know. I didn't ask for
You
it.
don't know? She just brought it over.
Yes.
And when she brought it over, did you ever use an Xbox? Do you know how to use it?
Yeah.
That would be a yes, not yeah. Yes, you know how to use it.
Yes.
And so you used it, and in 2021, when she came over, so your son now is 5? Uncross your arms. Your son now is 5?
Yeah.
So in 2021, he was a year and a half old, right?
Something like that, yeah.
I'm not great in math, but that would be about right.
He just turned 2 right when we got together.
So he was 2. Okay. Now, you're talking to somebody who's had a lot of kids, 13 grandchildren, got a great-grandchild who's a year old. They don't use Xboxes when they're 2. His father used the Xbox.
I don't.
Then she used it to play.
She didn't live in my house to play it.
You should have tried harder with him. So, where do you come from?
Indiana.
You want to go back to Indiana? You flew here. We paid for the ticket, right?
Yeah.
Get the Xbox back.
He will break it.
Shh. Oh, no, he won't, because he also, when he comes here, he gets an appearance fee, which you're not going to get until she gets her Xbox back. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
You understand it perfectly.
Yes.
Right. The appearance fee that you're promised is going to be zippity-doo-dah until she gets her unbroken Xbox back. Understood? right? So it depends upon how much it's worth to you. Now, Xbox is coming back to you. TV, when was it purchased?
5/3/2021.
What did you bring it to his house for?
He needed a TV because Miles broke his.
Because what?
Miles broke his, which is his youngest son. So I let him borrow it.
Now, did you pay for it from Rent-A-Center?
Yes.
I'd like to see proof of that.
This goes with that, and that statement that you have up there goes with this as well.
Well, these are all November 27th.
Yes, I paid them all off on the same day.
Okay, so this is the payoff
Yes,
statement.
that's the payoff statement,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, where's the TV?
At my house.
What?
My house.
Okay, we're going to make arrangements for her to pick up the TV. Same conditions. Zero money. Do you understand? Until she gets back her property.
Kayla Sams claims her former partner, Brenton Pickett, kept her personal belongings and never gave her the car she purchased from him.
Now, what other electronics?
There's a PlayStation 5 and a sound speaker set. And I know that he does not have either one of those because I've been told that he sold both of them.
Did you sell either one of those two things? Put your hands down. Did you sell either of those two things?
Once they're in my possession.
Just
Yes.
That requires an answer, yes or no.
Yes.
You sold the PlayStation to whom?
Someone on Facebook.
Should have done better.
You're so funny.
I'm not trying to be funny. I feel sad for your mother. I know she probably put in a lot of effort into you.
You would think.
Well, one would hope, and if she did, I feel sorry for her that she should have done better. Okay, so how much did you pay for the PlayStation?
$2,699. It came from the rental place, so I paid more for it because of the interest and everything, but I have the receipt right here.
May I see it, please? PlayStation and speaker set. Sold that too? What does that mean?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Yes. Sure. Whatever you want me to tell you, I guess.
I don't want to be too hard on him. He doesn't have anything wrong with him, does he?
No, he does not. He has.
Oh, good. That's good. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't bullying anybody that had a pre-existing condition. His pre-existing condition is just that nasty. Okay. And how much was the speaker set?
I paid $904.54 for it. $904.54.
Okay. So the two things you're going to get back, and the rest of the things that he says he's already disposed of come up to $3603. Now we're going to talk about this car,
Okay.
which I have a little bit of a problem with, that I don't understand this car, because you got a settlement from a personal injury claim in May of 2022, and according to you, he offered to sell you a Dodge car for $4,500.
Yes.
Did he own the car?
His dad gave him the car, so yes, it was his car.
Are you still married to his father?
No.
You can stand up with him, move over. Who's his father?
Steve Pickett.
When did he give him this Dodge car?
I do not know the exact time frame, but I have a message from Kayla that says April 28th of 22 that he was giving the car to Kayla.
That's not what I asked you. I said, when did his father
It's a setup.
buy him or give him the car? What year?
I don't know the exact date. But
I
it
don't
wasn't my
want
car.
to know the exact date. I assume that you're in touch with him because you have grandchildren that I assume
Yes.
he needs your help taken care of when he has them in his custody.
Yes.
Right? I assume that.
Yes.
So then, if I asked you in what year his father gave him this car, I guarantee you know the year. Guaranteed.
I would not.
They're separated. How would she know that?
I'm not married to his father.
I know you're not married to his father. Are you telling me you don't
don't
see your
communicate.
grandchildren?
Yes, I see my grandchildren.
Of course. And your grandchildren live with him. That's what he said. Some of the time, right? So when you see your grandchildren and they're with him and they're young,
Yes.
you know that he's either at work. Does he work?
He works, yes.
Right? Do you ever take care of the children?
I live 2 hours away, so I don't take care of the children during the week, and I'm not there a lot, and my husband passed away of cancer, so no, I'm not there a lot. So I would not know the exact year. I do
Really?
have a message from Kayla that she said that Brenton was giving her the car. So that's my knowledge of the car.
Okay, you have a message from her that he was giving her the car.
Yes.
Good. Now, she paid you $4,500 for the car, correct?
No.
How much did she pay you for the car?
She did give me money, but as I plan to give her the car, I don't know how much.
How much money did she give you?
But it was 2 years ago. I don't know.
What?
It wasn't a significant sum.
I have a
plan-
text
plan
message
to
right
give
here
her
that
the
says
car.
how much it
May
was.
I please see what she has?
It's a joke. Is it?
No, you're a joke, sir.
Okay.
You're a joke.
Oh, it's so funny.
My son is not paying you a blank dime. You are the one that paid him $4,500 for a car that barely ran. He doesn't owe you anything. If you have to pay for all this stuff, that's on you, not him. You've made him miserable ever since you left him almost a year ago. 31323. Whose number is that?
That's my number.
Well, that's what you said to her. You are the one that paid him $4,500 for the car. Does that refresh your recollection, sir? Your mother got that figure from someplace.
From her.
So you mean she's believing her now?
This was
Just a second, she's believing her now. You're the one that paid him $4,500 for the car that barely ran. So she's saying she gave you money for a car that barely ran, and he doesn't know you anything. If you have to pay for all that stuff, that's the electronics, that's on you, because he's miserable. How do you expect him to pay almost $10,000? That's kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. Okay, so she gave you $4,500. But my question to you is, you say he never gave you the car and he sold it.
Yes.
To somebody else.
He sold it to his children's mother.
Uncross your arms. How do you know that?
Me and are friends now.
You have any proof that he sold it to his children's
I
mother?
don't have proof of that, no, but I can get it in my phone.
Get it in your phone. So you and his ex, the mother of his children, are friends now?
Yes.
Did you give the car or sell the car to the mother of your boys? That's either a yes
I gave
or a
it
no.
to Kayla.
So the answer is you did not give the Dodge to the mother of your children.
No, I gave it to Kayla.
No,
Like
just
it
a
says
second.
right here.
Just a
But
second.
you won't take our evidence, so
I'm going to take your evidence. I'm just laying a foundation.
Kayla Sams is accusing her former partner, Brenton Pickett, of keeping her belongings and wrongfully selling the car she purchased from Brenton.
Now, you did not give the car that she paid you for to the mother of your children.
No.
The answer is no. I
Wasn't
want her
my
phone
car.
number.
You want his phone number?
That's absolutely right. Sarah, take it down. I'm going to go and call Miss. Find out what kind of car she drives, where she got it from.
487.
Okay, so please ask her if she has in her possession an Xbox.
Okay.
And we want to know whether or not she is driving a 2008 Dodge Caliber.
She's not driving it because the car, the front,
The car's what?
how come she can
she's
talk
not
and I
able to drive the car. They had to jump
can't? How
it.
come she can talk but I can't?
Ask her whether she had the car and what happened to it.
For it,
So you say he gave it to the mother of his children. I want to find out if that's true. Find out when. Show me the date that you took out $4,500 to give it to him.
I don't have that because when I got the settlement check, my lawyer, they deposited the check into his account and he wrote me a check for the remaining balance after he took what was owed to him.
I understand that.
So I have the settlement and distribution.
I don't need the settlement in that. I want to know when you gave him the $4,500.
May 5th or May 4th. It was the same day that I got the money.
Did you give it to him in check or cash?
Cash, standing in his living room.
In any event, his answer seems she's going to get me the information I need. I sold the car to Kayla. That's what you swore to, for $4,500. So that you acknowledge. Let's see if the ex-wife had. She was your wife or partner?
Both.
Partner. Okay. Now, Kevin, I'd like you to go and take the first two documents that he has in front of him and bring them to me.
First.
This is just proving the contact order was false.
What is this that you're showing me?
That's the picture she put in the contact order that I had nothing to do with. It's from a car wreck.
Just a second. I'm talking about a car.
Okay.
Does not like to answer on the first ring, so it took a few tries, but I got her. And she said about a year and a half ago, she wasn't certain on the exact dates, but she's had her new car for about a year and 2 months. So she figures about a year and a half ago is when she bought the Dodge from Brenton with Kayla's permission. So that's how she phrased it to me. So I said, you weren't sure of who the owner was, or you are? She says it was sort of a convoluted situation, but how it was presented to me was that I was buying it from Brenton and Kayla allowed that sale to take place. When I asked how much she paid for the car at that time, she said it wasn't a bill of sale or a proper amount for the car, but that she helped Brenton out with rent payments and other small things like that as a quid pro quo, you could say, for the vehicle. The vehicle is junked now. She said it was not safe to drive. She didn't feel comfortable having her children in it, so the car has been junked. And in regards to the Xbox, it is in full working order in her house with her son currently.
Perfect. So I have proof that she paid you $4,500 for this car. And according to the lovely, you did, in fact, sell her the same car, she says, with your permission.
I did not give permission for that vehicle to be sold again. He probably told her that he had my permission. He did not.
The only question that I have is, why did you wait so long to sue him?
Brenton was very abusive and very mean. And when I decided to finally leave, I sent my family to get my things and he wouldn't give it to them. And it took me a minute to get over everything that had happened. And I had to pay off all of this stuff as well. And he is in possession of it.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $8,103 plus the return of the Xbox. The defendant's fee, if any, will be held here until the Xbox is returned. Thank you very much.
How do I get that back to him?
You can take the auto and get a sheriff to go pick it up.
Okay.
This court is adjourned.
She's a scam artist.
He came in here with a few text messages that were irrelevant to the case. I really don't know what he thought he was doing. I had a whole case stacked against him.
It's what she does, bud.
I'm not dating no more.
I don't know. Can I go?
I'm ready for a brighter future.
You know, you always have a problem when the two exes have each other's phone numbers on speed dial.
Oh, yeah. I found it interesting, though, when I spoke to her, and I should have followed up, about the permission that she said, because that was the word she used. She said, he gave me the car, but Kayla gave her permission. And I should have followed up more, because then she denied, Kayla, the plaintiff, denied saying that. And if you were friends now, I feel like you might have gotten your story a little straighter before coming here.
I don't think that they intended that you would go in the back and call
No,
her
of
to
course.
verify.
That's the best part of the verification calls, is they're always a surprise.
He wasn't a nice man.
No.
Because if the other stuff was in his house and he knew that she had purchased it and they were no longer together, well, maybe he would say she purchased it and he kept it in the house and they were gifts. But he didn't. He sold most of it.
Sure.
He sold the expensive. Instead of giving it back, he sold it for the money. And there is absolutely no allegation that she owed him money for anything. She was the generous one and he was the taker. I don't know. Women need to nest. They pick on any piece of trash in order to nest.
Case 3125, Halstead versus First. All parties, please come forward.
Paul Halstead is suing his ex-girlfriend, Kayla First, for the return of a cat and money from an online fundraiser.
Mr. Halstead, for a brief period of time, you and the defendant were a romantic item and lived together for a short period of time.
Yes, that is correct.
From what I read from your complaint, you met on a dating app in February of 2022.
Yes.
And how much thereafter did you move in together?
I would say maybe like 3-4 months.
So maybe in June.
That sounds accurate.
Now, when you met in February of 2022, did you have the two cats that are at issue in this case?
So actually I had 3 cats, which I do still all have.
Just a second.
Oh.
I'm going to do this my way.
Okay.
February of 2022, you had 3 cats.
Correct.
What were their names?
We have Dumpling,
When was Dumpling purchased?
purchased in July 24th, 2018.
Before you knew the defendant.
Yes.
And you don't deny that.
No, ma'am.
And the other cat, next cat.
Bellatrix were purchased her the year before, so it'd be 2017
17.
and approximately November.
Okay. Also, before you knew her.
Yes.
Third cat.
Is Ouija, where she was purchased in July of 2020.
Also before you knew the defendant.
Yes.
Did you have any cats prior to February of 2022?
I did not.
So this is what the case is about. It didn't work out. You moved in together in June of 2022, and you moved out on what date?
It would be middle of October of last year.
So you lived together for approximately a year and a half.
Yes.
And when you split, it is your claim that the defendant took your cat Dumpling.
Yes.
And that not only did she take your cat Dumpling, but at some point either after or before, she started a GoFundMe page for what you categorize as future surgery for the cat.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
And people actually gave you money for this future surgery for
Yes,
the
they
cat.
did.
Yeah. How much money did they give you?
It was approximately $383.
You want your cat back and any money that she collected from the GoFundMe page.
That is correct.
That's what the case is about.
Yes.
Okie dokie. Well, the money you don't get.
Oh, no, that's 100% fine.
The money you don't get.
Yeah,
I can't
Dumpling
think of a
is-
theory where you would be entitled to the money.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the cat. Let's talk about that, how that happened. Tell me, Ms. First, about the breakup. When did that occur? And the circumstances surrounding you taking his cat.
Yes, so this would have been in October, early October. I already had kind of throughout my head, I already started a breakup letter due to, honestly, the lack of communication within the relationship.
Okay, good.
And then from
I'm not
there...
a therapist, I'm a
Yes, ma'am.
lawyer.
Ed claims his ex-girlfriend, Kayla First, is wrongfully keeping his cat. Kayla says he agreed to give her the cat.
Okay, go ahead.
I had come home from work the one evening to...
What evening?
I'm not sure of the date at this time, but it was within the first week of October.
Okay.
And then from there, when I'm coming home, I saw Halstead on the couch to then Dumpling barely coming out, dragging herself over to me when she had then collapsed in front of me. From there, I went into hysterics and I had questioned Halstead if he had even noticed her and her state of that evening, and he said no. I then frantically kind of went around and I asked him to please take me to the emergency vet to where I finally got there with her.
Just a second. Did you go together to the emergency vet?
Yes, we did.
So you went together to the emergency vet. Who drove?
I did.
Okay. Did she remain in the emergency room or go home with you that evening?
She went home with us.
Then what happened?
The lack of empathy he had and the fact that during when we were at the emergency vet, I had forgotten my wallet and he huffed and puffed and was not very happy that he had to
I don't
pay
care.
for it.
Happy. He paid the vet bill.
Yeah.
He paid the vet bill.
Yes.
Let us move on. Do you remember, by the way, how much the vet bill was?
It was $1,700.
Just a minute. So he paid $1,700
Yes.
to have his cat seen in the emergency room.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Keep going.
That is when I decided I no longer wanted to be.
You don't no longer want to be with him.
Yes.
Fine. Good. And?
And for the lack of empathy he had towards her, I asked if I may keep the cat while he kept his other cat within the time. And he did agree that I have in text that I was allowed to keep her throughout this breakup.
Okay. I'd like to see the text.
Here's the one.
What was the rest of your message, Paul? Hope you were doing okay. I wanted to talk to you about something important. I've been thinking about doing
That
a lot
was
of
the
things.
end. That was the start of the breakup letter I had to send him.
Okay, but his message did not follow this.
That was exactly my thought of how confusing it was.
Well, that's very confusing to me.
Yeah, that's exactly what he sent me after I sent him a very elongated, very kind letter.
I don't know what it says. Did you allow her to keep your cat Dumpling?
I did not. So I actually have the response text.
May
that
I
said-
see it, please?
Yes.
That doesn't sort of make sense. This one says, okay, you can keep Dumpling, and I will send you $400 later. And this one says, you can't. I'm taking both cats with me. I just spent over $1,700 on Dumpling, who you say I supposedly don't care about. I do not want any of the furniture. You can keep it all. Okay. So you moved.
Yes.
Okay. What makes you think you have any right to this cat?
Just because I have taken care of her. When Halstead and I first got together, he wanted to get rid of all 3 of his animals, and I took them into my home where I actually didn't allow pets. Shortly after that, he did move in with me while he continued to commute to D.C. for work while I took care of them all week long, besides, you know, the 2 days that he did
had
come
them
home.
since 2008. He had the cat in question, I believe, since 2018. That is 4 years before he met you.
Yeah, and I didn't want him to give them away to, at the time, his late wife's roommates, and me taking them in. They were under my care for the entire year and a half we were together.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That doesn't make it your cat. That makes the cat a cat that was living with the 2 of you.
Yes, ma'am. And with that being said, when Halstead did come home to retrieve his belongings, he had taken everything out of the closet, took 1 cat and left Dumpling, and accused me for stealing her when he had taken all of the other cat's medications needed and left Dumpling. So from our conversation of being able to keep the cat,
Well,
I didn't
wanna
think anything from that.
I want to see that. This isn't a conversation. Neither is what he gave. This isn't the conversation. This is just a line that starts someplace that has a question before it. Okay, you can keep Dumpling. It's not the way you start a letter that you write to somebody after she's just written you a goodbye note. That's not the way it starts. So,
Unfortunately, it is the way it starts, ma'am. It was mind-boggling to myself that everything that I have written here.
Just a second.
Yes.
In this text, he says he wants Dumpling back.
Yes.
That he's just spent $1,700 on it. That is a demonstration of his commitment to the cat. Which came first, this or this?
The one prior, but unfortunately, I don't have any
Just a
evidence
second.
from him and I.
You mean this one was first?
Yes, ma'am.
And this one was second?
And then we have...
And this one, he says, I'm coming to get my cat.
Which he did not take. He took the 1 cat and left Dumpling, and we did have a verbal agreement. Unfortunately, I don't have any proof or evidence of that.
Anyway, he's not getting any money, but he's getting his cat back. Sir, I will prepare an order, Mr. Halstead. You may take it to your local marshal, and you may go and pick up your cat if you wish. Do you understand?
100%.
You have 5 days in which to do that. If you don't accomplish that in 5 days, the order will read that the cat reverts back to the defendant and it will be titled in her name. Do you understand?
Gotcha.
That's reasonable?
100%.
Very good. That's the judgment of the court. We're finished.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I respect her decision, but it's just unfortunate we couldn't get to the neglect he had for Dumpling herself.
So happy.
She was supposed to have surgery for herniated disc that she had, as well as be on asthma medication.
Pretty much already have the surgery that she was talking about lined up for, because I was feeling optimistic that would win.
He decided to provide that care for his other cat and not her.
But pretty much have her going in next month, so I'm super excited, honestly.
I hope he does the right thing.
Honestly, I'm just happy for Dumpling to be back with her sisters, so I'm super excited, honestly.
Well, at least someone finally took our advice and didn't buy an animal, a living thing, have a baby, buy a car when they were together but not married. So this was relatively simple. I think people get a strong affinity for either the children or the animals or things that they care for over the course of a relationship that then when it all comes to an end, they feel like they have some legal right to those things that they tended to throughout the relationship. But it was pretty easy. He came with the 3 cats. You took care of them and did all the dirty work while you were together, but that doesn't make them your cats.
Yeah, not your cats. And he took care of them for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like,
Before she even came along.
Right. Easy.
Yeah.
They should all be that easy.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are suing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, for wedding costs and vandalism to Noe's car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case 3108, Gonzalez Ramirez versus Cortez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're Miss Gonzalez.
Yes, I am.
This is your son.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your daughter and Mr. Cortez were engaged to be married.
That's correct.
How old is your daughter?
She's 28.
And you, sir?
27.
How did you meet?
We had met on a dating app back in October 2020.
Okay. And when did you become engaged?
It was sometime in 2022. It might have been around April.
Did you give her a ring?
I did.
Your Honor, they were engaged in September of 2022.
Does it sound better?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, this is what the case is about. Miss Gonzalez, it is your claim that wedding plans started to be made. You were paying for the wedding, and he broke off the wedding and broke off the marriage, future marriage, and you believe he is responsible for the non-refundable deposits that you put down on venue and maybe music, flowers, I don't know what. And that's part of your claim. You, sir, are her son, her brother, and it is your claim that Mr. Cortez vandalized your car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cortez denies that he vandalized your car. So I will hear your proof with regard to that. Mr. Cortez says that there is some property. Your harassment allegations don't reach the level of harassment, sir, but you claim that they have certain property that belongs to you.
Yes, and I do have a text message from Kristen Ramirez stating to one of my friends that she has my property and has refused to give it.
Oh, so that will make my job much easier when I get to your counterclaim. Okay, so Ms. Gonzalez, you started to plan a wedding.
What happened was they came in and they spoke to Kristen's father and myself. They announced their engagement. And so we congratulated them. We said we would pay for the majority of the cost, but that we did have some things that we wanted them to pay for.
That's okay.
So at the time, I wasn't too familiar with Michael. And so just as precaution, I did ask him if he would be okay if he broke off the engagement, that he would reimburse for the venue, because the venue is something that is not always reimbursed.
Did you ever have that discussion with her?
No.
I can't tell you how many weddings that I've made, Miss Gonzalez. Children, grandchildren, made and paid for. I have never had that discussion with any of the future spouses. If you break it off, you have to reimburse me for down payments.
It was
I never.
Yeah.
I never.
Just the way that he was acting, it made me feel like I needed that reinsurance.
I don't believe you, actually, at all. Because if I, as a mother, you have two children?
Yes, I do.
If you have two children, if I had certain reluctance about either the character or the commitment that one of my children's future mates have, it wouldn't be about returning my money. I would sit down with my daughter and say, you know, I'm not getting a great feeling about this guy. I have a feeling he's going to slip. And if I had a feeling I was going to slip, and if you wanted to extract that promise to him, should have put it in writing.
Right.
Because it doesn't make sense to me, based upon my own personal experience, that that's not the way a new marriage starts with, by the way, if it doesn't work out, you're going to pay me back for this, right?
Right. Well, my means are limited, so.
So are his.
Yeah. And so what we did was we had an agreement. We asked.
Just a second, show me.
We
show
had
me.
a verbal.
Just show me.
Well,
I'm telling you, I don't buy it. But I'm going to listen to him.
Okay.
And I'm going to listen to any proof that you have.
Okay.
See any proof that you have where he committed to paying for the wedding in the event that he broke up the engagement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay? She just told me that you said to her at some point, I will pay for your non-refundable stuff if something happens. Tell me your version of it.
So what she said is not true. What happened was on the night of October 1st, I had gone to her house to speak with Kristen, my girlfriend at the time. I wanted to talk to her about a prenup. My witness here.
Just a second. You wanted to talk to her about a prenup. Why?
Earlier in the year, Kristen made demands towards me saying she wanted to buy a house, but she only had $200 in her savings account and I had $40,000. So she was expecting me to make the down payment. And at the time I had savings, I had 2 cars, I have a master's degree. She was kind of expecting me to provide for her. And at the time I did not feel that was fair.
You mean that you were going to use your cash to buy a house
Yes.
that was going to be in both your names.
Yes.
And you wanted a prenup so that you would get whatever you put into the house out of it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, because at the time she was pretty much telling me where we had to buy the house. It had to be within a certain...
Just a second. Would you sit down a minute and let your sister stand up?
Yes, Your Honor.
You're Kristen.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Kristen, I want you to tell me about this house business. You had no money.
I don't have savings, but I had a job.
But you don't have money. You don't have savings. He had savings. You were living with your parents. You discussed with him buying a house?
We did in the future. It wasn't about buying a house. We had to have some form of living situation when we get married. That was the expectation. And that's what my mom discussed with him too, was that it wasn't him needing to buy a house then and there and in a certain area. We just needed to be able to live somewhere because we're getting married. How are we going to live in like our
Well,
parents'
you work, you just told me, and he works. So you find an apartment and you each contribute to the rent and the expenses.
Yeah.
Is that what was the intention?
Yeah, and we're both on the lease agreement, and I did pay half, or I paid as much as I could.
Did you live together?
We lived together, and then my brother also offered to be on to kind of help with costs too. So it was
kind of help with costs. You mean he lived there?
He also took up the spare bedroom.
Well, that would be a yes. He lived there.
Yeah.
So I have a copy of the lease. It's myself, Maria Gonzalez, and Kristen Ramirez at the time.
Okay, so you're on the lease.
Yes, I co-signed for him because he was hesitant in getting and securing a housing. We had less than 2 months, Your Honor, for the wedding, and I was very truthful with him, and I told him, you cannot live in our house. You need to secure housing. That was our agreement in the beginning, that you would be responsible for housing. I never said anything about buying a house or anything. It's just
you got a butt out of your children's business. You have a 28-year-old daughter. What are you giving him instructions for?
Because, Your Honor, he wasn't doing anything. He had a room.
Well, that's up to her.
Right.
That's not up to you. I mean, your daughter's almost 30. Why is that up to you when she's got a fiance? She's got to figure out what she's going to do with him. What did you have to do with that?
When we were discussing the wedding, we did say these were the expectations. You were to have a place for them to stay. It didn't matter where they were going to stay. I never said anything about you have to buy a house or you need to get an apartment or anything. It's just a stable
What
place.
other expectations did you indicate to him that you were expecting?
That he pay for the wedding license and that he pay for his clothing. That's the only thing that we asked.
You mean for the license and for his clothing for the wedding?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, claim Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, owes for wedding costs. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay, you were telling me a story, and let's get to it rather quickly, because what day is it today, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Something about sushi for lunch on Wednesday. So you went to the house to discuss a prenup.
Yes.
And what happened?
Originally, at the time, me and Kristen agreed that we wanted to do a prenup, and this was something that she discussed between myself and my dad a year ago. At the time, Kristen was the one who wanted the prenup.
Because she was going to inherit a house.
Yes.
What house were you going to inherit?
I just want to correct that I did not discuss a prenup with his father when we discussed the
No,
engagement.
you discussed it, just the two of you.
It was between us and my therapist.
There was a breakup, Your Honor, in February, and it was between them.
Okay, we're going to forget about these wedding costs. Right. I could see the handwriting on the wall a long time ago. You should have too.
Your
Would you
Honor,
tell me? Forget it. Not happening.
I do have messages that he was offering his Mercedes for payment reimbursement for the wedding.
Okay,
I do have.
I'll take a look at that. Would you mind telling me what happened when you went to the house to talk about the prenup? That's what you were in the middle of.
Yes. So we had discussed about wanting to do a prenup, and we agreed. And then about 20 minutes later, the mom came in to the apartment, started blowing up on me, saying, "How dare I make her daughter work? How dare I make her daughter pay rent? How dare I force her to sign a prenup?"
Okay. Kristen, you remember that discussion?
It was not.
Do you remember the discussion?
Yes.
All right. Just answer my question. These very easy. Things are common sense. You were having a discussion with him about a prenup. Originally, you wanted a prenup because of an inheritance that you anticipated. What inheritance did you anticipate?
I anticipated my father giving me a house.
And is that what started the prenup discussion?
No.
Did you ever discuss that with him?
No, not till that night.
I'm talking about that night. Do you remember that discussion?
Yes.
Did your mother come in during the course of that discussion at any time?
We went to his apartment, to our shared apartment.
Who went?
She came in. Me and my mother. He had left our house to the apartment.
So he went to the apartment, and you and your mother went to the apartment. And do you recall what your mother was indicating to Mr. Cortez as regard to the expectations she had, or the two of you had, with regard to what he was going to do to take care of you?
Yes.
And what did your mother say?
She sat him down and she said that the way he had been acting up until this time was not acceptable, that it was originally stated that if he was having cold feet, we gave him multiple times if he wanted to postpone the wedding, that he could. And he kept saying, no, I want to keep going with the wedding date, even after we had broken up and he wanted to come back. And my mom reiterated to him that he was supposed to pay for the venue if he forfeited the wedding. And she was discussing with him the verbal abuse that she witnessed leading up to this event. Because he knows I have really bad anxiety, and that she did not like seeing him use that against me when it came to me driving, when it came to me trying to find a better job, when it came to like trying to provide for the family. I tried my best as much as I could. And that's what she discussed with him on that night. It had nothing to do with all these expectations. It was just, I needed help being able to speak for myself, because like, I don't know if you can see I'm shaking. Like, I need help sometimes in order to help myself. And that's what she was here for.
He wasn't buying it. Do you understand? It's too bad. You said you had proof in writing that he somehow, someplace agreed to pay for the deposits that you had. I'd like to see what proof you have of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Just show me.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't show me anything other than that. Just show me that.
Yes, ma'am. Now, the first one is
Just a second. Who wrote this?
Michael Cortez.
He wrote it?
Yes, and he left it in my mailbox.
October 13th, 2020, I paid for the down payment for a home for me and Kristen. Both names on it. I would be putting down 40 to 50K. If we have kids, it'll go to them. To compensate for the wedding, I would be willing to financially support Kristen if she needs to focus on herself. Whether it's bills or rent, I would be willing to help. In addition, I would pay for a new wedding. I don't know what that means.
Your Honor, I never wrote that letter.
This?
Correct. I never wrote it or signed any letters.
He placed that in my mailbox.
Kevin, would you go over this? Give him this pen, and I want you to write the following. I don't want to throw away. Okay, that's all. Yeah, you wrote it. Well, this is a very nice letter. I don't know why you would deny writing this letter. This is a very nice thing. He does not say he's going to pay for a wedding.
He said he would pay for another wedding.
No, a new wedding.
On the text messages that he sent.
Just a second.
Yes.
Now I'm going to read the text message. This is nothing except a very nice letter from him. No, doesn't say here that he's going to pay for a wedding. He wants to make it work out. He would love that so much. I can offer my Mercedes since the front bumper is fixed and valued at $10,000. I would be willing to do couples therapy with Kristen, pay her bills, and do everything I can to make it right, only if this is what Kristen wants. I'll even sign contracts so we are all on the same page, but I understand you don't want me in her life. And if she feels the same way, I want my pictures taken down tonight. So this does not support your argument. If you're not going back to me because of the money, I can give you the Benz. It's worth $10,000. What's that about?
I'm not too sure, Your Honor.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Cortez?
Yes.
These emails suggest to me that you were very much in love with the plaintiff's daughter.
Yes.
And you wanted to make it work.
Yes.
And how did it not work? What happened?
The night of October 1st, when the mom blew up on me, she made all these threats towards me about legal action, physical harassment.
And is that when the wedding was called off?
Yes.
He says that I threatened him. I did not threaten
Whether
him.
you threatened him or not, you went there with your daughter.
I did.
And at that point, after this discussion, after these emails, which I see, and because he clearly felt strongly for your daughter, that's when the wedding was called off.
Yes.
Well, he didn't walk away.
Yes, he did.
I don't
he
think
left
so.
that.
Yeah.
He left that day, that night after our discussion. He took everything out of the apartment and he left, Your Honor.
Okay.
He left a note that said, "I'm sorry," with his wedding ring on the pillow on the bed.
Fine. I would too. Don't get involved if your daughter's getting married, and I wouldn't do it if your son's getting married either. It's none of your business. Stay out of it. Keep your nose out of it. You can sit down now. Stand up. Noe.
Yes.
You were living in the apartment with Mr. Cortez that your mother co-signed for when your sister was supposed to get married and blah, 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 blah. You went to live with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say that something happened to your car. On what date did something happen to your car?
It was the 27th of November.
Of October, November.
If you don't speak, that's your problem. You get too much involved in your adult children's business.
Maria Gonzalez and her son, Noe Ramirez, are accusing Maria's daughter's ex-fiancé, Michael Cortez, of refusing to pay for deposits after their wedding was canceled. Michael is countersuing for the return of property and personal threats.
Okay, November 27th.
Yes, Your Honor.
When had you seen your car prior to seeing it damaged?
That morning. I have pictures right here, if you'd like to see them.
I would, but first tell me what the nature of the damage was.
It was you scratched into the trunk of my car, and my back right tire was slashed.
And what evidence do you have that the defendant had anything to do with that?
We don't make enemies. Like, we don't have enemies. He's the only person.
Is what you're telling me you have no evidence to support your accusation that he keyed your car?
We do not have video footage, no.
I didn't ask you for video footage. I asked you for any evidence. Somebody saw it. He admitted it.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, well, then you don't have the case. You understand that, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
What did he owe you $1,000 for?
The $1,000 was for the damage to the car.
Did he ever acknowledge that he would give you $1,000?
No, Your Honor.
Oh, then he doesn't owe you anything. Okay, I can deal with that quickly. I have a counterclaim. The counterclaim says that they have property of yours. What property do they have?
Kristen Ramirez had sent a text message to one of my friends claiming that she has my property. I don't know exactly what all she has. She's refused to talk to me.
Just a second.
Yes.
You can sit because your case is dismissed. You actually understand that because you have no proof that he caused any damage to your car. Kristen, stand up, please. Before I take a look at the text that he has, what property, if any, do you have that belongs to him? Is not an answer. Let's go. What property do you have that belongs to him?
I believe he left a birth certificate at my house.
Where is it?
It was in the safe in my room.
So you have his birth certificate. What else?
I'm not too sure what else he left in there. He's the one that put them in the safe.
He says he has a list, which I will look at, that you sent to someone of items of his that you have. And I'm asking you, before I look at the list, what other items of his do you have?
Other than that, I have no idea. I haven't looked
Okay,
at
now
it.
I'll see the document that you're referring to. She's going to give you back your birth certificate.
Okay, I have it. It's going to be this message.
So far, I don't see what it is.
Right. It's not listed in there. She just acknowledges that she has my stuff. She kept it vague.
She's going to give you back your birth certificate. It's sort of misleading, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now we're going to get back to one other little thing that's gnawing at me before I finish this case. So with regard to your belongings, she's going to return to you within 5 days. Make sure it's sent and doesn't get lost in the mail. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any paper she has that's in your safe, including your birth certificate. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, fine. Now, I just want to get to this Mercedes-Benz. What was the Mercedes-Benz that you were offering for, sir? I can turn over the Mercedes-Benz. I want you to tell me something that I can believe.
Your Honor, I'm not too sure. I do have a receipt from the wedding venue that I emailed. They said that even if she were to cancel, they accommodate with rescheduling. So it's not like she's out of all her money.
But she's just got to find another groom.
I mean, she could always throw a birthday party.
No, she can have another groom. You still haven't given me something that I believe with regard to the Mercedes-Benz. You mentioned it several times.
To be honest, Your Honor, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, you know, I usually don't like to split the baby in half, but it seems to me as if that there is some evidence that you agreed to participate in the event that something happened with the venue. And I don't necessarily think that you are 100% responsible for the breakup of this relationship. I think there was a lot of problems and interference on both sides. How much was the venue, the non-refundable venue, cost?
$7,050.
Okay. Mr. Cortez,
yes.
While it's usually not my practice to leave anybody happy that comes into my courtroom, I like when everybody is miserable when they leave.
Yes, Your Honor.
But she had $7,000 worth of expenses as a result of this wedding. And I actually think that it's fair that you each pay half of that. So I'm issuing an order for $3,500 for the plaintiff. She's going to return all of your papers and documents that she has. This case is now over.
This court is adjourned.
The mom made all these threats and harassments towards me. And that's exactly why I left the wedding.
He's not man enough to be my daughter's husband.
This is a woman that I was going to spend the rest of my life with, and she let her mom ruin the relationship.
I feel that God gave us a blessing in removing this piece of trash out of our lives.
I want to move on with my life, so as long as I can get out of my hair, I'd be happy with that.
There is someone better for my daughter out there.
I tell you, that was very sad. Not legally sad. Yeah. It was a socially sad case because I think he really legitimately cared for her. I mean, the letter that he wrote, and he clearly wrote it. I don't know why he would deny that he wrote it.
Did a little forensic testing out there of your own?
Yeah, you're right, a little forensic testing. I know that's particularly kosher, but it looked right. But it was a really kind letter.
Yeah.
He did, in fact, talk about the Mercedes. This was before he left. He said, I don't want there to be this fighting back and forth because evidently it was clear that this was not the first breakup that they had. And it was very sad, and she, I think, actually cared for him a great deal.
Yeah.
Mama.
Too many hands.
Mama got in the way. She was trying to be very protective of her daughter, who clearly has an issue or two. But she was clearly trying to be protective and...
Went a little overboard.
Listen, if I were a young guy, and he's actually a year younger, I think than his ex-fiancée, I would be worried about that lady being in my life on a permanent basis. Yeah.
Morgan Larson is suing defendant Chris Bumgardner for vandalism after his 16-year-old son damaged her car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2101, Lawson versus Bumgardner.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Ms. Larson, it is your claim that the defendant's son, I assume that's this young man over here, vandalized your car. And he vandalized your car by smashing in a side mirror.
Yes, ma'am.
Which required you to be without a car for a day while they fixed it. So you want his father, who was actually present at the time, to pay for the damage.
Yes, ma'am.
From what I gather, this happened on Father's Day, which was June 19th of this year, and you were going over to visit your father.
Yes.
For Father's Day. Stand up. What I gather from your complaint, was he sleeping?
Yes, he was.
Okay. Some sort of an altercation happened, which you'll tell me about in a moment. His father was called.
Yes, ma'am.
His father came. This kerfuffle continued, and when they were on their way out, this young man, whose name is?
Caden Bumgardner.
Caden smashed in your passenger mirror, and his father says, well, he actually saw him do that, but it was just pushing in the window, the mirror, and really all you had to do was pull it out, and it would have been fine.
Right.
That's your defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's start out when you arrived at your father's house. What time?
I arrived at my father's about, I would say, about 11:15.
Okay. What happened?
And it woke up Caden in the process. Caden got upset.
What did he say? How did you know he was upset?
He started screaming and pretty much saying, why the heck are you coming in here, waking everybody up? You have no right to.
Okay.
And then after that, Caden got up and started yelling, started punching the walls, screaming. My
father went in there, and then his father, Chris, ended up getting called to come get Caden.
How far do you live from where Miss Larson's father lives?
About 7 miles away.
How old is your son?
He's 16.
Is he the oldest one of your children, in the middle?
The youngest.
Any other children at home other than him?
No, ma'am.
So he's the baby and he's home?
Yes.
Who sets the rules for him?
Well, I do.
Where did you think he was going?
No, I knew he was over they had something to do for Mother's Day, and then they had
That was
another-
Father's Day.
Well, I know, but I'm saying for the entire of
Well,
its
Mother's
day.
Day is in May, Father's Day is in June.
But they
usually
something-
don't have
they had
carryovers.
something planned. I don't know. But anyhow, yeah, he was over there.
Times have changed. Life has changed. The only time you got to sleep outside your house when I was growing up was when you were outside in a pine box or a white dress. That was it. Those were your choices.
Yes, ma'am.
That's the way you could leave your parents' house, right? I chose the dress. All right. Now, Caden, I'm going to come around to you because, we're not talking about somebody losing 2 pints of blood or somebody losing a finger.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to wake up a teenager at 11:30 in the morning. I'm usually ready for dinner at 11:30 in the morning. But teenagers, they're still growing, so they sleep late. But you were particularly annoyed when Miss Larson came in, right?
Yes.
Why?
Well, she did put it the right way, but she didn't put it the right way because.
But just tell me why.
Well,
Don't look at her. Talk
she
to me.
didn't just wake her up. She came in there loud.
When she walked in, Caden, to a room in her father's house, what did she say? And tell me in what tone of voice she said it.
She said in like a excited voice, but not like a mad voice, excited voice.
All right, and that got you mad.
No, that's not what got me mad. I didn't
What got
talk
you
to her.
mad?
By the time I could even finish my sentence, she's already busted in through the door and was in my face saying, "You got something to say to me."
Just a second. You're not following me. She came in, and the first thing you said was she was talking too loud, and I want to know what you said to her.
I didn't say nothing to her.
Nothing.
Nothing. I didn't even
Nothing.
look at her.
And then she left. So
She cussed at me, but then she walked in there and she later
who
said,
cussed at you?
Her. And then she later said
Well,
that
just
she
a
was
second.
talking-
I didn't get to that part, that she cussed at you. If you didn't say anything to her, what would she cuss at you?
Because she got a phone call from her saying that she wants me to get ran out of the house. That's how this all started.
Just a second. Oh, that's a different story. Okay, so what you're saying to me is you believe that she came over for the purpose of getting you out of the house.
I believe so, yes. Because that's what I got told.
Well, let us assume for a moment that's true. That would sound right to me. Get him out of the house. It's 11:30 in the morning on Father's Day. We want to have a party here. Get him out of the house. That would sound right on the money to moi. Right on the money. I mean, if that's what it was about. So I don't care if that's what it was about or not. Okay, your father comes. What happened when you got there, sir?
When I showed up, I went to the door, I knocked on it, they answered the door, it was pretty
Look
chaotic.
at me.
It was pretty chaotic.
Describe what chaotic is.
Okay, there was a bunch of yelling and screaming going on between Caden, my son, and the plaintiff.
And Miss Larson.
Miss Larson, yes. And I told my son, I said, hey, you just need to step outside and let me figure out what's going on here, and I'll be right out. I tried to talk to Mark. Mark come out of the room.
Today I'm drawing something, so let's see what will be the results in the finals. Just look. It's really time taking. The precision is really a great work while drawing something. We really understand each and every corner of the predicted image in our mind. Yes, obviously sometimes it takes 1 to 2 days, or even sometimes a picture takes 1 week for its compilation. So afterward we should give a final touch when we prepare the framework, and afterward we decide what we are going to do the next one. Using the right pencil type, because of its edges are so sharp. Now see, there's a very clear-cut lining and precision. I'm going to make a jar and thereafter a flower with some leaves will be showing in it. So the jar is almost ready, and it is the shape of a little flower with leaves. So I think the art will be so pretty. Let's see what will be the final result. You can see the leaves, and flower will be the final touch. Now see, it is really so fine, the type of pencil. I really love this. While when I purchased these pencils from some of the general stores, I really precisely tell them that why I'm buying this. So they will give me the finest pencils. I know they will be the costly, they are really costly. So here will be the flower with leaves. You can see it is really good. Most of the time I learn from the different authors or the different sculptors, sometimes painters, and how they draw, how they imagine. So I have ruined a lot of sheets because of practicing purpose. Afterward, each and every time I learn new thing, and but the final touch always will be close to your heart, because it always takes your time. It takes hard work, persistence, consistency, and a lot of different things. You can see the clear edge cutters of the flowers, their leaves, how they are shaping their self. It is really wonderful. I always praise myself because it is something that you are going for eternals with you. So how beautiful it is looking, isn't it? What do you say? You can comment me in the box and tell me what could be the good, what changes I can make in it. So it is a transparent jar, so glass jar, that's why it is showing their stamp, which will be the at the last of the jar will be shown. Look at how beautiful it is. I encourage all the painters or artists who are practicing, do more and more practice you can do, then the final touch will be mesmerizing. Just remember, these things always take time. How beautiful it is looking, isn't it? Now the shades will be given to it. I really love it. What do you say, guys? The final touch, you will love it. I know. See, the final touch. It's about to complete. Don't worry, just wait a while. The final touch will be so amazing. Oh, nice. So beautiful. Isn't it so beautiful? I loved it.